All right, folks. So I realize that I've been talking a lot about the $1,400 stimulus checks, the timing of them, kind of focusing on that. Last month, I did talk a lot about the updated child tax credit. That is now law, along with the stimulus checks. But I haven't really spent a whole lot of time talking about the child tax credit lately this month. So in this video, I thought I would just give a recap of this updated child tax credit for 2021, because I know that affects many of you out there. So first of all, how did the bill that Joe Biden signed into law yesterday, the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, affect the child tax credit? Well, I'm going to talk about the monthly payment option later in this video, but first let's talk about the numbers for the credit as a whole. What you need to know is that this bill increased the child tax credit for only tax year 2021. So for tax year 2020, it didn't make changes to the child tax credit, okay? And this bill did not make changes to the child tax credit for 2022 or going forward, okay? So for tax year 2020, tax year 2022, unless Congress, makes these changes for 2022 as well, it's the old rules. $2,000 child tax credit for each qualifying child under the age of 17, with a maximum of $1,400 per child being allowed to be refundable. Okay, but for tax year 2021 only, the new stimulus bill is saying instead of $2,000 per child, we're increasing the child tax credit to $3,000 per child for children between the ages of 6 and 17. So yes, now 17-year-olds are eligible. They were not under the old rules, and $3,600 for children under the age of 6. And this updated child tax credit for tax year 2021 is fully refundable. Okay, so let's say you have a kid that turns 4 in 2021, a kid that turns 6 in 2021, and a kid that turns 17 in 2021. Your 2021 child tax credit is $9,600, $3,600 for the 4-year-old, and $3,000 each for the other two kids. Okay, now let's say your federal tax liability is only $5,000. Married couple making, let's say, $70,000 a year, W-2 jobs, you might only have a $5,000 tax liability, federal tax liability. Well, the child tax credit would wipe out your $5,000 federal tax liability, plus you'd get a refund check for $4,600 in addition, to the refund on whatever federal income tax withholdings that were taken out during the year. So that's huge. Bigger child tax credit, and it's entirely refundable for 2021. That obviously helps lower income families that perhaps previously didn't get the entire child tax credit because a portion of it was non-refundable and they didn't have the income tax liability to absorb the full credit. Now, let's talk about income limitations here, because this is where things get a little more complicated. And when we talk about these income limitations, it's helpful to think about the 2021 child tax credit as having two components, okay? First is the old component, the old $2,000 portion. Let's call that the base portion. The new component is the new $1,000 addition for children between the ages of 6 and 17, and the new $1,600 addition for children under the age of 6. So for the old portion, the $2,000, the old income limitations apply. Those are $200,000 of adjusted gross income for singles, $400,000 of adjusted gross income for married filing jointly taxpayers. So if your adjusted gross income is below those amounts, $200K, $400K, depending on your filing status, you're getting the full $2,000 base portion per child. And I'm assuming that the majority of my viewers have incomes below those amounts, so I'm not going to dwell on that. Now, the income limitations for the new portion of the 2021 child tax credit, that's the $1,000 addition for children between the ages of 6 and 17, and the $1,600 addition for children under the age of 6. The income limitations here are similar to stimulus checks, okay? At least the first two rounds. The third round is working a little differently because it has a hard ceiling, right? Anyway, if you're single and your adjusted gross income is $75,000 or below, or if you're head of household and your adjusted gross income is $112,500 and below, or if you're married filing jointly and your adjusted gross income is $150,000 or below, you don't have to worry about phase outs for any amount of the child tax credit. Okay. However, if your income is above those amounts for your filing status, the amount of the expanded portion of the child tax credit, and again, this is just talking about the additional $1,000 for children between the ages of 6 and 17, and the additional $1,600 for children under the age of 6. If your income is above those threshold amounts for your filing status, your expanded portion of the child tax credit decreases by 5 cents for every dollar your adjusted gross income exceeds those amounts. So, for example, let's say you're married, filing jointly, and your income for the year is $160,000, and let's say you have a 3-year-old. So you're getting the $2,000 credit, right? You're not phased out for that, because the phase outs for the $2,000 piece, the base piece, begin at $400,000 AGI for married couples filing jointly. But for the $1,600 portion for your 3-year-old, that's a 2021 addition. okay, for children under the age of 6, that is reduced for you by 5 cents on the dollar for each dollar your income exceeds the $150,000 threshold for your filing status. So if your income is $160,000, your income exceeds the $150,000 threshold by $10,000. So 0.05 times $10,000 is $500. So your $1,600 addition would be reduced by $500. Okay, so you would only be eligible for an $1,100 addition for your 3-year-old. Okay, so that number plus the old portion of $2,000 is $3,100. So your child tax credit for 2021 would be $3,100. Now, let's talk about the monthly payments. So the monthly payment would be equal to your maximum child tax credit for 2021 divided by 12, with you claiming any amounts you did not receive as a monthly payment on your 2021 tax return that you file in 2022. Now, the IRS is shooting to get these monthly payments going beginning in July. That's the word on the street. However, the American Rescue Plan gives them leeway to say, hey, we can't do it that early, or hey, monthly is going to be too administratively burdensome. We're just going to do it quarterly. So we're going to have to see what happens there. IRS has been pretty mum on that for now. Obviously, this bill was just signed yesterday, but of course, I will keep my ears out for these things. But let's say the IRS starts doing monthly payments in July. What would this look like? So for the example I gave previously, married couple expecting a $3,100 child tax credit for 2021, they would $3,100 divided by 12 is about $258. So they would be looking at receiving $258 a month beginning in July, right? So $258 a month for July, August, September, October, November, December. Some of those monthly payments is $1,548. So $1,548 a monthly payments throughout those months. And then they would claim the difference between $3,100, right, their total credit, and the amount they receive as monthly payments as a tax credit on their 2021 tax return, right? So $1,548 a monthly payments, right? And then plus a $1,552 credit claim on the tax return gives them their total credit of $3,100. So that's how that would work. You will be able to opt out of the monthly payments and just claim the whole thing on your tax return if you want to. All right, folks, that's what I have on that today. Obviously, with the monthly payment piece, you really just have to wait for guidance from the IRS on that. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and make sure to check out the other 2 tax videos on the next screen. Bye-bye.